Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Looking for Love in All the Wrong Dust Jackets, a show where three disgruntled harpies talk to you about everything we love in romance, whether that's books, movies, TV shows, whatever we like. My name's Liz.
I'm Danny.
And I'm Wiggles.
And welcome to the episode. Today we are discussing the book My Summer Girl by Maeve Black. But before we get into that, I got to warn you, I got to let the people know that we are crass and unhinged. We're terribly unladylike. And we're going to talk about all of them naughty times using all them four-letter words.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and one of them being, fucking goddamn it.
Yeah, we're going to be bitch session this time. Welcome, folks.
I guess be warned.
Yes.
Anyway, Wiggs, what do you know about Maeve Black?
I'd love to tell you. They don't have a website, but their bio is listed in a few places. So Maeve Black writes monster romance with added Mexicana Latina elements. They want to see their own culture and language in books that they write and read. Maeve tries to be diverse and inclusive with all works, helping others to see that the world isn't just a social construct. They're queer, Mexican, fat, and having those characters depicted is something that they love to write. Maeve wants to be known for their Latina characters who represent the person that they didn't get to see in fantasy or fiction books as a kid. They love reading, playing fantasy video games, and drawing in their spare time. Other books, including this series, the first two books in this series are Dear Monster Claus and Stupid Cupid. And then there's a Creepy Court anthology that they have contributed to. But that is Maeve Black and the information that I am able to find on the internet. So,
Look at
there.
you. Look at you.
Yeah, I did a thing. So, Danny, do your thing. What's this book about?
I don't fucking know.
Well,
Do you need help?
I do. It was confusing.
Yeah.
It's essentially the queen wants a mate and sends her person to go
Guard.
find her a mate and finds his mate, but also wants her to be the queen's mate. But she already has one, so he kidnaps her, and somehow there's no issue had with that situation. And then they all end up together,
And there's
saving
dragons.
fertility.
There are dragons that make no sense.
yeah. And that's the plot, honestly.
Yeah, it pretty much is.
I'm sorry. I'm like, I don't know how to do this one.
I guess the one other thing that's worth mentioning is in the world where our Queen Vera exists, there needs to be a pollination.
Well, that's what I said, and saves fertility.
Yeah, so apparently having lots of sex helps that happen. Crazy. You know, I feel like before we really get into this, I need to apologize.
Same.
Because I put this forward and I said, this looks really cute. And the reviewers, they really proved to me that you can't just trust what anybody says online. You know?
A bunch of lying bitches.
They lied to me. The description of this book lied to me.
Yes.
I wanted to like it.
It wasn't that. It wasn't that. So if you don't like negative reviews, this one won't be it for you either. If you love a good trash talk, that's what's in store ahead.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
If you've listened to our podcast previously and maybe heard, Ice Planet, yeah, we gonna tear this to shreds. I'm real sorry.
I liked both of those books better than this one, though.
For sure. So anyway, buckle up because we're about to get into My Summer Girl.
I will say the disclaimer, this has absolutely nothing to do with, queer relationships. I love the representation.
If it was represented well.
Yeah.
That is definitely something that we should just blanketly say before anybody's like, you just didn't like it because you don't like. No.
We picked it because we were like, that sounds intriguing.
Yes, we love queer relationships. We love the Mexican representation. We love bigger girls.
Yes.
Like that's the reason we picked this
Yeah.
book.
Yeah, we were like, fuck yeah, that sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just unfortunately
fell short
in many categories.
Yeah.
Yep.
One thing I will say a couple positives right off the bat, because I do have a couple.
Yes.
One, I really liked the inclusion of the language and the way it was used. And I thought it was really smart to use an actual spoken and written and read language.
Yeah.
Yes.
In a fantasy book, because it still gives you that element of different culture, but it at the same time is accessible. Like, I'm not going to go fucking learn Elvish to read Tolkien. I'm just not. I'll appreciate the nerds who do, but it's not me.
Well, and the other cool thing is the author has in the beginning, if you're reading this on like a Kindle, you can actually like highlight the different Spanish phrases and it will translate it for you.
Yes.
And I thought that was really fun. And as somebody who knows like un poco Espanol, I was like, oh, look, I know that word. I don't know that word. Oh, it's because it means pussy, and Duolingo is not going to teach me what pussy is in Spanish.
And that's a damn shame.
Yeah, I know.
It is a damn shame.
Yeah. So I thought that was really great. I liked that we had this world where there were different rules depending on the realms that you're in.
Yeah.
Yep.
And like even just how sometimes like physics works. So I thought that was really good. And there were some parts of the beginning when they were in the BDSM club that I was intrigued.
Yeah.
I do wonder, because this book is a part of a series, but you wouldn't know that because it does not in anywhere, whether it's on Goodreads or anywhere that I could find, actually tell you it's a part of a series.
No.
It's because the other two, I think, are novellas.
Yeah. And I wonder if we would have read those, if the world would have made more sense, because this book does not give you any background. You just either know what's happening or you do not.
Yes.
Yeah. It's the reason that I told you guys this off mic, but I had started to actually just read it and couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I had to switch to the audiobook just to get through it, and I would have DNF'd this book if I had a choice in the matter.
Yeah, I feel kind of bad that we didn't just like collectively DNF it, because sometimes, especially for smaller indie authors, I don't want to put out like a mass negative kind of review, or we want to be honest, right? We definitely don't want, like, we're not going to sugarcoat anything but sometimes I'm just like, ugh, maybe we don't want to be those people. But here we are, so we're going to be those people.
Yeah. Well, and like the thing is, the disappointing factor is we went into this with like decently appropriate hopes, I think. Like it wasn't like we were like, this is going to be the best book ever, right? So it's not like we went into it with that blinder on and then we're just like disappointed that it wasn't the like great American novel. It like we went into it knowing we were reading a smutty book. Yep. That was only on Kindle Unlimited, which sometimes tells you some things.
Yeah.
And it was not on that tier.
Well, we found some really great smutty books
Yes.
that you can only find on Kindle Unlimited. Well, not anymore, but like Lillian Lark, you can buy physical copies of it. But like, I think she first started out like this one just on Kindle Unlimited.
Yes.
And we love her.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And we were here for the monster fucking.
It
says it's a monster stuffer, specifically on the front cover, and that's what we were here for.
We love us some monster stuffing. We also love queer relationships.
Yes, and we love a group. We love a group effort.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes, we love a group effort.
And I also love a group that they're all fucking together, not just like concentrated on one, which I have found a lot of the like reverse harem or whatever instances that I've been reading lately have been kind of going more towards where they're all in a relationship, not not each of us is in a relationship with this one person.
I think that's a reaction to what the readers want, because you see it not everywhere, but like if you ever kind of find on Book Talk or Bookstagram people talking about reverse harem or just any sort of multiple couple or multiple people situation, that it's like we want everybody to be interacting with everybody.
Yeah. We want them to be in a relationship, not everyone's here to please this one person, because one, that's a lot of responsibility, my dude.
Yeah.
That's so much responsibility to be that one person.
I can't have that much energy coming at me.
No.
No.
I need
10 men.
y'all to distract yourselves for a while.
10 men. Just reminder.
Nope.
Oh, God.
Like at a certain point, you just have to like be like, no, on Tuesdays I get a break.
Right.
Because what the fuck? So this book.
Yeah, I think that kind of transitions to one of the things that I did not like about this book, which is our main gal, Dulce, is that person. Like, she's the center linchpin of all of these people. And even though they kind of develop relationships with each other, the rest of the folks in the group, all of the attention is centered on her. Like, everybody's attention is in one place.
And I think I would have had less of an issue with it, but the attention that was focused on her was so objectifying.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
just constantly being talked about as an object.
Mm-hmm.
And everything about her is peaches, right? So the color of her skin is peach. The color of her hair is peach. She smells like peaches. Her
She
farts
tastes
are
like
peaches.
peaches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and just like, she's not treated like a person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not just by the characters, but by the author. She has no personality other than, yeah, I want to fuck.
Yeah, the only kind of backstory we get is that she is a cupid. And so apparently we get almost none of this in this book. You kind of have to piece it together. Cupids always do arranged marriages. They don't marry for love, just to, like, I guess, continue the Cupid line or whatever. And
Which is so depressing if you think about it. Because, like,
right.
the whole point is to help people fall in love and they don't get that themselves. Like, that's bullshit.
Right. And that would have been really cool if it played more into the book. But all it did is made Dulce kind of like, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to go have my own fun.
Yes.
And then she just goes off and fucks Vex and then just decides she's going to fuck everybody.
Yes.
Yeah, she's doing a summer fuck it list.
Yeah.
Well, and like, again, wouldn't have a problem with that if it felt like this was a character that was of her own mind.
Yeah.
And she never did. She never felt like she had any agency of her own. And what's worse is, like, she seemed to have the intelligence of a child.
Yeah.
Which really grossed me out throughout the entirety of the book.
Well, and, like, okay, so the summer fuck it list concept, I think, could have been a really cool one, and it could have made a really interesting book if they, like, Vex maybe took them on a adventure and everything, and that's where they end up meeting the other people and kind of building the relationships and everything.
Right.
But bitch gets kidnapped and doesn't even give a shit.
No, she's like, la, 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 la. And here's the thing. When we said that the description didn't match the book describes it as this woman who did not want to have a mate. Like, that's the language that they use.
Yep.
And that 3 just sort of are thrust upon her. Like, she's just like, oh no, I got mates coming out my ears. That's crazy.
I want the argument in that, if that is how it's going to be described, but
Yeah.
that's not what we got.
No, not at all. Like, she was on board, like, from go. Even when you get her perspective, it's like, oh yeah, he's super cute. I wonder if Beck would let him be our third and stuff like that. And you're like, what? He kidnapped you. And then when there's a whole moment where Vex has to force Rave to confess that he kidnapped her because she didn't put 2 and 2 together after a week being out in the wilderness with him.
Well, and Vex's response to finding out that Rave kidnapped Dulce was just to be like, oh, I understand, because they have, like, a soulmate thing going on. And it's like, dude, you, like, what?
He literally kidnapped your mate from in front of you.
Yes.
While you're doing a sexually charged scene at a nightclub together.
Yeah.
Where she's supposed to feel safe in this situation.
Yeah, this is a very specific BDSM scene that they're carrying out, and this is her first time doing it publicly.
Mm-hmm.
They have just had the conversation of, wouldn't it be interesting if we had a third? And Vex was like, well, we could pursue that. And so Dulce's like, yes, but only if we're both we agree it's the right time.
Right.
And so for her to, like, completely switch gears on that after being kidnapped.
Not consider them at all.
Yes.
Like, you didn't consider for once that they might be going out of their fucking mind.
Right?
You literally disappeared in front of them.
Well, and then Dulce, when Rave is trying to get her back to the castle, right? Because she's trusting this random stranger that just showed up. And she's like, oh, we can take our time, don't you think? We could dance in the rain. And it's like, your mate, because at that point, she and Vex had been like mated. They exchanged bloods, which is their culture. She's just like, la la la, it's okay. Vex is fine. It's like, excuse me?
Yeah. It's
like, have some
wild.
fucking anger and consideration.
Yeah.
Like, fuck.
I hated her character so much.
I hated her so much.
Anytime she was in a scene, anytime they were like, especially when Vex and Vera were like whining about her not being there, and Vex was like, I think you'd really like her. And I'm like, what? Stop talking about her. She's a useless character.
The only reason they would like her is because she's a literal, like, and I don't say this to be derogatory, but they like wrote a fuck doll. Like, she has no personality. It so grosses me out. And like the only time we see something of like what could be this person's personality is when they're having their first time with Vex. And I feel like that was the most interesting part of the whole book.
Yeah.
Because everything afterwards was just downhill from there. Me.
I was so frustrated through this entire, like,
Yeah.
I didn't know.
no, we're not blaming you. We all had the
No.
same reaction. We need to learn to talk to each other, I guess.
You know,
I just thought I was being a grumpy person over the weekend.
No, it was all of us. And like, there's like so many things that make me upset that I'm just like, where do I start?
Right? Dulce was the first. That was like the first big thing there. I was like, I'm infuriated. But there's so many others. Let's talk about the writing.
Oh, fuck. Right. Okay. So the writing. Yeah, let's talk about a technical flaw here, because the writing is very problematic from a technical perspective. First off, it just needs an editor. So many dropped words, misspelled words, incorrect words.
You know, I've talked about this at length before, but this is the exact type of book that I'm talking about, where I find it so hard to read, because if you disrupt the way language is supposed to be laid out that way, I'm just like, did I fuck up? Is like, do I need to read it? And so I reread it like 3, 4, 5 different times, and then I'm like, nope, it's just a bad sentence.
Well, and it wasn't just the copy editing, right? Like, there were entire scenes where there was like 3 people in a scene. It'd be like Vex, Rave, and Dulce all in a scene together, and then the action would focus just on Vex and Dulce, and I'm like, Rave is still here.
Yeah.
And they would just fade into the distance.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's another person in this scene.
Yes. Oh my god, there was one scene where like Vex and Vex. God damn it, Critical Role.
Damn you, Critical Role.
Vex and Rave and Dulce are all in the same bed.
Yes.
They have just said, hey, Dulce, why don't you go get our queen off and get on out there, and the two of us are going to spend some time together. And then the next chapter, Vex gets up out of that same goddamn bed and proceeds to fuck Dulce. And they're like, oh, I don't know where Rave went.
I was so mad at that point because I was kind of like, ooh, I would like to see, you know, I was trying to find things that I liked, and I wanted to see Vex and Reva like actually spend time together. And
same.
Yes.
I was so excited to have like an intimate moment between the two of them, because Vex was kind of like opening up to Rave, and it was like, okay, maybe we'll get like, you know, some cuddling or something, because the other thing we haven't mentioned is Vex is demisexual. So it was like, okay, we're not gonna jump right to fucking. Little did we know.
But they do. That's what frustrates me so much. I'm like, they're supposed to be demisexual, meaning that they need to have a connection.
Yeah.
They're demisexual, and so they're supposed to have a emotional connection with somebody, but before they can really have a physical relationship with them. And you could maybe make the argument that there is the mate bond connection because they do bite him, and they share blood and everything, but I still don't think that you can lean that heavily on that.
No.
And say that they're demisexual.
Well, I think there could have been an argument made for, because Dulce has already made a connection with Rave and Vex has kind of went all in on Dulce, that opened up the possibility
Maybe, but I was
faster, but you're still writing a demisexual character. Give us a demisexual character.
And I think that's where my biggest issue is. Like, I wanted to see the demisexual
Yeah.
character.
Yeah.
I wanted to see them have to grow their relationships with the other two people.
Yes.
They spent over a year with Dulce before they actually did any physical
Well, anything that wasn't pain play.
Yes.
Yeah.
Before they never fucked them until
No sexual activity at all.
yeah. And so I wanted the emotional connection,
Mhm.
which is odd coming from me. But I wanted to see them like actually get to know these
Yeah.
people so that I could see what they would be gaining
yeah.
Mhm.
as having them as mates. And so that upsets me, is that if you're going to write a demisexual character, give me one.
Yeah. Well, it especially doesn't make sense specifically with how Vex works, because the bond forms with blood transfer. And they had already, prior to biting Rave, had bitten and exchanged blood with Vera. So,
Yeah.
like, why wouldn't they build that connection faster? And at the end of the book, Vex and Vera have never, ever done anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the relationship I was most bummed that it didn't develop more.
Yeah.
I wanted to see that connection
Yeah.
too.
yeah.
I honestly liked all of the characters except for Dulce.
I liked
Like,
all the
I
characters.
was intrigued, but I didn't like them, but I was intrigued by them.
Yeah, I thought there was potential for growth because, like Wiggles said, they actually had personalities.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dulce did not.
Honestly, if you took Dulce out of the book and that these three somehow found their way to each other, much better book, in my opinion.
Oh,
I agree.
Fuck yeah.
I agree.
Like, I could see you writing it to something where, like, somebody that Vex cares about gets, like, mixed up in this and they somehow find themselves in this realm. And that
Mhm.
Vex, even though they're demisexual, becomes, like, a linchpin for Rave and Vera, who really need to get together.
Because they've been friends since they were like 12 or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Rave's been in love with Vera for the entire time.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing is Vex used to know Vera's grandmother
Mm-hmm.
because Vex is old as shit.
Yeah.
So who's to say you couldn't make the argument that they became bored because people who are that old
Yeah.
do get bored and decide, oh, well, I haven't been to Solera for a while.
Yeah.
Let's go see how that planet or how that realm is doing.
Yeah. Just checking back in.
Just do a little check-in.
Yeah.
And maybe they'd be welcomed because, they were friends.
Yeah. Or
Of-
even something where Vex like promised, was it Theodora, the grandmother, like
Mhm.
centuries ago, that I will check in on your family every so often.
Right.
Yeah.
You know?
It could be very easy to get Vex there.
Yeah.
And
Well, you even could have done it where, like, let's say that, like, Vex and Rave form a connection while Rave's looking. Like, you could keep most of the same plot, right? So,
Mhm.
and only just take Dulce out of it.
She doesn't need to exist.
Oh! Rave finds Vex. They form a bond, whether accidentally or intentionally. I leave that up to the author. But they form the bond, right? And because of the connection that already exists between Vera and Rave, Vera's like, what the fuck is going on? And why do I feel horny as shit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? And then eventually, like, Rave has to confess that, like, I kind of need to go back to my queen. You want to come with? Wink, wink. Like,
Well, it could even be the rather humorous mistake that was made because she sent him to Vex quotation marks because that's supposedly where people can find love. Well, in reality, it's a sex club,
mhm.
and Vex named it after themselves because of course they did.
Right.
So it could still be the rather humorous thing that she accidentally sent him to a sex club looking for love, and he finds Vex and is intrigued by them and starts forming a bond and getting to know them. Then you could also have it be a longer time where he's been gone,
Right.
Mhm.
causing her to become more frantic and more worried about him,
Yes.
Yes.
and the more need for him to go back.
Danny
Yes.
Rewrite Corner is working tonight.
Yeah. Yeah.
I also like the idea of like if Rave went to Vex, the place, and like kind of like you said, came to the realization, oh, this is a sex club, and then actually went to Vex, the person, and was like, hey, this is a situation I'm in, and Vex was just like, well, let's work together to find a mate, and then you get that whole like friendship bond,
Yes.
demisexual thing. Ugh, bummer.
You
What a
could
bummer.
also have done it where Vex and Rave have been having this like connection over time. Let's say Vera just keeps sending Rave to go find a mate and
Yeah.
can't find it. Can't find it anywhere. There's no mate anywhere. And then finally they're like, listen, I need you to come back with me.
I need you to explain to her that this task she sent me on is not working.
Yes. And then, oops, I found your mate. Any of those options
Yeah.
would have been 10 times better, but instead we got this confusing nonsense.
And
Yeah.
the weird stalking situation too.
Yes. So I guess let's back up a little bit to Vex and Dulce. At the time that we're meeting them, they've known each other for 4 years, and for the last year, Vex has been providing her with pain because she's a masochist. And they, with their bite, are able to inflict pain or can make it pleasurable.
Very vampire-esque.
Yeah. But they've never crossed the line, right? As we've talked about, of going into something sexual. And then eventually Dulce's like, just decides, I'm going to ask if we can fuck. And that's how this all begins to unravel. And there's like this confusing jump that doesn't make any sense, at least in the context of this book. Maybe if you read other books, where it goes from they do the deed and then Vex makes a promise to Dulce to make it well worth their while to quit her job, because then they'll do like a really crazy sexy scene thing. And that's like the quitting her job just comes out of nowhere. Like that's just where
Yeah.
and it's like, oh yeah, I've been thinking about this the whole time. Oh.
There's a lot of time jumps that don't make sense, because before that, Dulce just randomly wanders to like a bonfire beach party,
Yeah.
and there's some random people who we may or may not get names, and they're like, you should do a fuck it list.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, and like, okay, so at the beginning, I didn't dislike Dulce. Like,
Mm-hmm.
the interactions with Vex, I was kind of enjoying.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, oh, these people could be cool. We still hadn't, like, got much personality, but, like,
Uh-huh.
you got enough for that purpose.
Yeah.
And then when she was kidnapped and taken away, then she had no personality, but la la la, I'm a pretty sunshine girl. And I fucking hated her.
Yes. It was almost like a shift in tone to the book.
Yeah.
And I was just like, okay. Okay.
And don't get me wrong, I am fine with a sunshine girl. There are plenty of well-written, well-rounded, sunshiny people in books.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I'm a little bit of a sunshine girl.
I think you'd be pretty upset if somebody kidnapped you, though.
Oh yeah, hands would be thrown, dukes would be raised.
Well, and your only desires would not be performing your fuck it list.
No,
Right.
Like, that's the most insane thing.
I'm sorry, my pussy would not be anywhere in that equation.
No, your prime objective at that point is, how the fuck do I get back home to my mate who I only just like crossed that boundary and made that promise to each other with a day ago?
Yeah.
So like,
well, and the
A
only
dragon
reason...
pulled me out of a lake. Hey, Mr. Dragon, can you take me home now?
yeah. Also,
Yeah.
why is there dragons?
I don't know. I never
Why are there
understood the
dragons?
dragon. Just so there could be dragons.
I guess.
And the only reason you can't get back to Vex is because Vex has given Dulce a specific portal necklace
Yeah.
that only can go to Vex. And that's how ultimately Rhaegar is supposed to be able to get in there, is by like linking to that portal, I guess. And so it's like, wouldn't you freak out? Wouldn't you be like, oh my god, I don't have my necklace, I can't get back, I'm in this realm and there's this guy who's saying he's nice? Like, no survival instincts at all.
No.
Right. Even if she doesn't believe that the guy who literally like is there waiting for her wasn't the guy who kidnapped her, you would still be very wary. You would be determined to find out where you are, how to get back home. You wouldn't be like, and I'm going to go dance in the rain.
Yeah.
Where am I? How can I get home? How can I contact my
Right.
mate? How can I contact my sibling? She has many.
Yeah.
Like, I need to find someone to get me home.
But also there's a week that passes between her being kidnapped and Vex going to Solera. And I'm like, what happened in that week?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't seem like there is a week. You're just telling me there's a week.
Yes.
And I'm confused.
Well, and Vex is trying to make the moves that they need to make in order to be able to get to where they think Dulce is. And that's how they end up making a connection with Vera. And they're like, hey, your fucking guy, he stole my gal.
Yeah.
Not a fan of that. And then it very much seems like they're going there with the purpose of like, I'm gonna kill this motherfucker. And instead they're like,
It's fine.
she do like to fuck though.
I needed intensity.
Yeah, that was the other thing, is everything was one note.
Yes.
It was missing a lot of intensity, especially for a book that claims to have like BDSM and
Yes.
all of this in it, and I lacked a lot of intensity. I appreciated the consent requests throughout, like double checking
Yeah.
safe words and stuff, but at the same time they also violated a lot of consent.
Yeah.
Yes. And then had preachy moments that were like, let me pull it up, because I was just like, this is after school special level. Okay. Veer, Dulce's voice comes out softer, as if she's noted the change in my demeanor. I've not done this much, I admit, but I want to be a good partner for you. Her gaze softens, a small grin peeking out. You're already so good, asking me what I like and don't like, making sure I get my safe word and scene word. Yeah, that's how people talk when they're in bed with each other.
Yeah.
Like robots. What the fuck?
It just, there was a lot of,
Well, and I think the thing that I got so frustrated with is, one, there are two kind of like things from a spicy perspective that I wanted and didn't get. The first one was there are 4 people on the cover and we only got one scene with all 4 people.
Yep.
And it was at the very end. And the second was you talk almost immediately about BDSM, and Dulce is a pain princess. We keep calling her that.
Mm-hmm.
And we got absolutely nothing in that category.
Correct.
Like the only thing we got is like she gets slapped a little on the butt and she gets pinched a little, and like,
And there was potential for some shit. That queen had vines around her
with thorns.
I was like, ooh,
yeah, there was
what
one
can we do with those?
There was one scene where Vera wraps up Dulce in her thorns and like pricks her with them, and I was like, okay, that's something. But I mean, this woman Vera literally has vines growing off of her like she's poison ivy. There's so many things you can do with this.
It could have been so fucking hot.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, and like even just the use of those vines in general was another example of where the timeline doesn't timeline, because one of the things that happens shortly after they're starting to get things figured out between Dulce and Vera is that these yellow flowers start showing up all over Vera. And 3 days later, Dulce points it out. And Vera's like, when did these get here? This is literally,
Yeah.
this is a line. When did these show up? What the fuck?
I'm sorry, I get a zit on my nose and I notice.
Right.
Right. And
Like
on
you
your
notice
arms?
things about yourself like that.
And not only that, but the planet of Solera is this like eternal summer planet. And everything is very like, all the buildings are made out of like, it seemed like trees that you grow, like wood elf type shit, you know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they can talk to the planet and the planet talks back to them. Vera and Vex as well. And yet Vera doesn't know when Rave comes back and doesn't know that Dulce's there. For how long? She should have known immediately. The planet would have told her.
Mhm.
Planet did tell her. Just only when the author decided it was convenient.
Yeah.
When they were fucking.
Right? Like, what? Insane.
For this sentient planet that can basically tell the queen everything that's going on, relay the emotions of all of these types of people, and connect her, she herself should be almost omniscient.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And yet
you could make an argument that the other characters are all more aware of what's going on through the various bonds that they have.
Yeah.
And here's the other crazy thing. So getting back to Rhaevar and Vera, somehow literally everyone else in the kingdom has picked up on the vibes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Queendom? I don't know. Whatever. In the Solera, they all are aware, to the point that one of Vera's servants, guards, people that vaguely don't matter, points out like, oh yeah, we all know that you and Rhaevar are a thing. And Vera's like, no, we're not. Oh my god, that's so crazy. Why would you say that? And bitch, How do you not know someone pining for you for multiple decades and you didn't notice? They're literally around you all the time. This was the craziest thing. Vera has Bravar help her sexual partners.
Yes, that one fucking took
get
me
her
out.
off. And I was like, what?
That one weirded me out. I was like, oh.
Nobody does that.
That one completely took me out of the story.
Yes.
So Vera asks Ravar, who is her head guard, to find the mate for her. But in previous situations, he also just found people to fuck her and then literally helped them. He was literally a third in the activity, only he never touched anybody other than to like maybe position the other person to eat Vera out better.
That is so wild.
What the fuck?
I was like, oh, why?
Bitch, who does that for a friend? Not me.
I love you, but no.
No,
I
No.
don't. I have seen most of your body and still nah.
You
nah.
you would have to pay me a lot of money and I'd still be mad at you about it.
And like, you know, everybody's lines with their friends are, you know, wherever you put them, but how and I think this was another one of the writing issues, because that got just dropped into a conversation
Yes.
of Rave being like, I remember all of the people that I've helped eat you out or whatever, and I'm like, wait a minute, you gotta step that back. What the fuck are you talking about?
Well, and like, here's the thing. We are very close. We have chatted about certain things.
Yeah.
You do not know my sexual appetites the way you think.
Well, and he also knows like how exactly to eat Vera's pussy, and I'm like, first off, you've never actually done it, so I don't think you do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
That's a, you know, practice makes perfect situation.
Yeah. And then apparently she has 2 G spots, one of which his dick, specifically his dick,
Yep.
can grow and latch onto.
And she didn't think, hey, it's kind of crazy that there are only 2 species that can do that. And this guy that's obsessed with me, that I can't breathe, basically, if he's not in the same room with me, he's definitely not my mate.
Yeah,
Yeah,
not at all.
Definitely not.
Because she also has that relationship with him where he's gone for a couple days to find her mate, and she's just like, oh, there's nobody here. My best friend is gone. And it's like, bitch, how you this dense?
Right?
Figure your life out. God damn.
Oh my God. Like, why?
This felt like a bunch of like 16-year-olds.
Yes.
Yes.
Overly horny.
And they're
16-year-olds.
supposed
Yes.
to be like at least mid to late 20s.
I
I'm
think,
pretty sure Dulce's in her 30s.
yeah, and Vex is like centuries old.
Yes.
Yeah, he's over 1,000, I thought they said.
And
Yeah.
Vera, I think, is supposed to be pretty old as well. Like, she's been queen for a long time.
Yeah, she's older than Ravar. I know that much.
Mm-hmm.
But like,
Yep.
Yeah,
that's the other thing about writing characters, especially characters that are older. You have more baggage, and Vera had baggage. She had this like inferiority complex because the pollination hadn't happened since she had taken over as queen, and she felt like it was her fault. And it's her fault that her planet is dying because she cannot trigger the pollination. But like, make that a bigger deal.
Yeah.
Not just like this throwaway, oh, it's my fault. Okay, I'm gonna go fuck some more.
Well, I think that where the author sort of ran into a problem there is that they already had quite a long book. I mean, it's not long, but you know, it's 300.
It felt like an eternity.
Well, yeah.
I amped that.
It's
reading
almost
speed up
400 pages long.
So high.
But the problem is, the reason that it's so long is because they just keep repeating themselves
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
over and over and over again, to the point that the chapter where Dulce and Ravar finally show up and Vex and Vera are sitting there and are like, oh shit, they're here. We had to read that twice from from 2 different perspectives.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck. Unless you're giving me new information, do not. And like basically none of the information was new.
No, the only time I don't mind when like basically a chapter is repeated is if really get a new perspective
Yeah.
and how
Yeah.
the other person is feeling. Then I don't mind seeing like, usually if done correctly, that what ends up happening is you get like a shorter, more condensed version of what
Yes.
happened because you've already gotten the longer one, and it's just what that person is feeling in the moment, and it is something that furthers the plot line, usually giving you more insights into that person.
And usually
Yes.
it's something pretty pivotal.
Yes.
Like
Correct.
you need that other person's perspective because some shit just went down.
Well,
Right.
and it's usually very like you then understand the other person better and makes you not hate them as much because
Right.
it's usually they've done something that's kind of fucked up, but they actually have like an underlying reason for it, and it'll be explained to the other person later, but it's making the reader not hate them.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, that didn't happen here, and I was
The other thing that was super repetitive was the sex scenes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel like we got the same in Eat Her Out scene 3 different times.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was so mad about it. I'm like, you gave me 4 people
Yeah.
and promises of BDSM and got nothing.
Yeah.
The only thing we did get, and I will give the author credit for this, is Vex as a Dom was successful.
Yes.
Yes.
The control required, the demanding nature, but also being considerate and conscious of what your partners are doing. But
And their
also,
needs.
yes, like aftercare and things like that being
Yeah.
a priority for Vex. Other than that, the sex scenes were generally kind of vanilla. And even if they weren't, it was like weird shit where like there's tension for no reason. Like, and not like good tension, but like, so when Dulce and Vera first like hook up, Vera's acting like a feral fucking animal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for why? That just can't communicate that like I think this is what a heat might be or
Right.
pollination or whatever the fuck they call it might be. And so I'm not feeling great about where I stand in this and how much control I have over the situation. And that is like the one moment where you see Dulce have some semblance of sense, because she's like, well, I don't really want to like do this when you're not really in your own head.
Yeah, I don't really want to do this when you're not in your right mind.
Yeah.
And then we just get the planet going, do her.
Yeah.
Fuck her anyway.
Yeah. And then like we get literally the same, like I said, we get the same sex scenes. And I think the one that was the most frustrating for me is the first sex scene between Dulce and Rave, which I was just uncomfortable reading because I'm like, you shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We get that same exact fucking scene when Vex is there. The only difference between that scene and the scene when Vex is there is Vex is kind of like coordinating,
yeah.
controlling. That is it. It's the same position.
Yeah.
It's the same fucking everything.
Yeah.
The only thing that's different is they have then combined first scene with Vex with the first scene with Bravar, and that there's this obsession with cockworming.
Yes.
And you're like, okay, whatever, man. I don't give a
Oh,
shit.
the can I suckle?
Ugh. Stop. Sometimes just because a word is appropriate linguistically does not mean that you should use it.
Well, and like I don't want to kink shame because I do know that's a thing.
I know.
Just don't use that word, okay? Just don't. Just don't.
No kink shaming, and if that's your thing, that's your thing. But it just missed me a little bit. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't the act. It was the word.
Yeah, it really was the word.
And I think a couple times it was like dribbling, referring to juices coming out of various body parts, and I was like, if you don't stop, I'm gonna fucking. Well, I'm not gonna DNF because I can't. But
Also, what was with Vera's clit?
It was
it has a
suctiony.
sucker on it,
Yeah.
but it like can morph.
Yeah.
See, this is where I thought it was going, and I was kind of like, okay. Because, like, Vera's whole thing is she wants to be pregnant, or she wants to get somebody else pregnant, which implies that she can get somebody else pregnant.
Yeah,
Yeah, I thought there was going to be like a sex changey part
Yes.
down there, and I was like, that's cool. I'm here for that.
yeah. I'm totally there for that.
Especially when she started describing, she's like, yeah, my clit can morph. And I was like, into what exactly?
Like you could grow a dick?
yeah, I
Because
mean,
that's kind of cool.
because, like, dicks are just really big clits, honestly.
Yeah, that's how they're formed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, I could see the logic there.
And I can also see the logic of like, because she's like a plant person and, you
Yeah.
know, like plant anatomy is obviously different than people anatomy. And
I think some plants can change their
I
sex.
think so. That's kind of where I was going, but I didn't want to say it and be dumb. So Danny, thank you.
Well, and here's the other thing. Like, you can grow random, like, vines and flowers and shit like that. Can't you grow, like, a plant dick?
Who's to say you can't?
Right.
I honestly thought that there was going to be some vine in the hoo-ha situation, and I'm upset I didn't get it.
I
Yeah,
was-
it was this missed opportunity for tail action. It was vine action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, goddamn. Or some vine whipping. Especially
Yes!
with the
Oh,
pain situation.
I
it was
wanted
gonna
fine
be.
whipping. I wanted Vex to be like, darling, could you punish her for me?
Yes!
She's been such a bad girl. Vex. Yeah, having Vex just being like, Vera, please. Like,
Yes.
yes, please.
Like, the two of them together being the dominants
Yes,
would have been so fucking hot.
Yes, please.
But
we got more of that shit in Married to the Devil
yes.
when Remy was using his tail to whip Ben.
Yes.
What I really want is for Dulce to go away
Yes, I think we're all in agreement on that one.
Yeah.
and for the two of them to punish Remy.
Yeah.
Rave, you mean?
Rafe showed
sorry.
Yeah.
great acumen for being punished.
Yeah.
I want that.
You know, here's another thing I didn't like is Vera is very much giving Dom energy, especially at the beginning of the book. And Rave just comes back and is like, I'm in charge now.
I know. I was a little like, I liked Rave kind of finally going, hey, listen, I'm sick of waiting for you to figure this out. But
I liked the confidence boost, but not the like. I still want you to be a sub to her, and I
Yeah.
want her to be the dominant.
there was one moment where she like he was kneeling in front of her and Vera pushed him like down with her boot on his chest. And I was like, oh, we're getting somewhere.
Yes.
And then it fizzled.
She did make him like let her sit on his face. The language of that is wrong, but you know what I mean.
Vera did sit on
His
Rave's
face aggressively.
Yes.
That.
There's a lot of face sitting in this book.
Yeah.
Yes, there is.
And like I like that, but when it happens every time.
Yeah, it gets boring.
Well, the other part that I thought was really disappointing, they didn't just like take away her domineering nature. They also kind of turned her into a brat. Like there was this one line towards the end, which leads to the four of them getting down, where Vera goes, he can relax. Vera taunts, her gaze tormenting. He had 15 years to get with me. It's not my fault he waited. Which is like, that doesn't even make sense. It is like, what? You waited, bitch. Like, you are the reason, like, you two were not together the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't like that at all.
No. I really wanted to see like a good scene where both Vex and Vera were being the dominants. The two of them were controlling things together and kind of playing off each other. That would have been hot.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, and I haven't really read a book that has scenes where there are two doms. Like I have, but there's always like one who ends up taking over and the other one just kind of like
Mhm.
So the idea of having two really dominant characters and two subs and they kind of like tag team, that sounds
And
great.
play off each other, it'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Especially those two because they'd be sassy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, and especially when they built up the Vex Vera relationship right away, I was
Uh-huh.
like, oh, this is going to lead somewhere great.
Yeah. And then they were like, no, they'll never touch again. Literally never.
I just wanted them to ask her to whip them.
Yeah, I wanted to see Vex be like, you know, I'd like to take a break this
Right.
Tom thing for a minute, and you seem to have the right kind of energy for me.
Well, especially because Vex said that they like to watch.
Mhm.
So just having the, like, I'm going to sit down.
Yeah.
Vera, you have at it for a moment.
I wanted Vex to like be in a throne, just
Yes.
like
Like,
watching
go sit in the cuck
the
chair.
mates go at it,
Yeah.
and just occasionally like offering orders.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, yes,
Vera, darling, punish them.
harder. But no, that's not what we got.
No.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing. I don't have a problem with this kind of stuff when you're doing Dom sub play and like that's the vibe, right? But like in scenes that were most definitely not that, there was a lot of language that like it was very demeaning and most of it was directed at Dulce.
Yeah.
And so like there was this one line towards the very end where they're all getting down. And Vex says, what are you waiting for, Dove? Lick them up like the good little slut you are, so greedy for your mate's pleasure. And I'm just like, ugh. It just, no. It doesn't work when you're not like, it feels like that character is actually saying it to the other character and it's not a game and it's not play.
Especially when they introduced into this book the scene word. So you need to use the scene word to start all of that.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, and they can't use the like tender nicknames during that if they're going to be doing that kind of shit.
Yes.
Calling her Dove really undermines how you speak to her in everyday life.
Yes.
Also, I hated that everybody had to have their special nickname.
Yes. Oh, I hated it so much. Because I also sometimes didn't know who the fuck was talking to who.
Right.
Yeah.
So many things. I'm not even done yet. I still have a longer list.
No, I still, we haven't even talked about the Sin, that entire ass character.
Okay, so I think that must be like either something from a previous book or is something that you can anticipate in a next book.
It might be building up for a next book.
Yeah, I
but
think
we
it's
didn't
got to
read-
be the next because the first two seem to be Dulce's siblings.
Yeah.
Yes, the Santa Claus one is her sister, and Arson, I think, is the name. But then I don't know. There's so many names, especially at the end of the book. I'm like, who are all of these people?
Here's the thing that I thought was random as fuck. They all just sort of show up at the end of the book because Vex is like, well, I've been here fucking around long enough. I guess I should get back to the siblings and be like, so I found her.
Yeah,
She's fine.
and
so-
also we need the Cupids to do their magic to summon the dragons.
Yes.
For
reasons.
For the solstice, whatever
Yeah.
celebration,
I
the
don't-
couldn't do the dragon. They were trying to. I think what was trying to be done is that they wanted to show Vex doing something nice for Vera because she's very disappointed that they couldn't find enough dragons in order to do this dragon riding thing for the solstice celebration, whatever that's coming up.
yeah.
But it was never really like indicated like by a point of view on Vex's part that like I would like to do something special for this one of my mates so that we are growing a closer bond or something, you know, not in so many words, but
Yeah.
you could have had that thought process, but that never actually ended up being a thing.
No.
Well, and it made it seem like we were building up the summoning of the dragons to be such an important thing that I was like, are the dragons related to the pollination? And then that didn't seem to be the case at all.
No, it just seemed like a contest where they rode dragons.
Yeah, which we didn't even get to see the outcome of.
No. And here's the other thing. The whole family shows up and is like, oh my God, we were so worried about you. Kind of. And then they proceed to do, which one of my least favorite things in real life or in romance, which is where they start being like gross in front of family.
Who does that?
No.
Disgusting. Ranted vibes. Don't like it.
Not, hey, let's talk about, your juices.
Ugh.
Sorry.
No.
No, absolutely not. Like, ew.
Yeah, it's ugh.
I like no. So I just thought I'd point out that I hated that. I got nothing else to say about that.
I'm still upset about the Sin character, who is the brother of all of the brother-in-laws who married into this Cupid family, because he was the one who told Rave to check out Dulce for reasons. Who's to say? And then at the end, Vex has to be like, no, stay away. Here, go off to this Obscura planet where you have to die, and then you're supposed to find a gargoyle, and then you can get there. I'm like, what the fuck does that have to do with anything?
Right? Like, and the weirdest part is like Sin sends Rave to go check out Dulce, and the way that he encourages him to go do this is by going, yeah, she likes to swim at this lake. And it leaves out the fact that she's naked. And so Rave just fucking creeps on her.
And then doesn't look away. Like, bro.
And it's like, oh, I can't believe Sin's been watching her. I'm like, what the fuck do you think you're doing in
What
this
are you
moment?
doing?
What the
mofo?
fuck? Oh.
The mate markings on the dick also weirded me out.
Oh, yeah, the mate markings on the dick.
And then it's never mentioned again.
Well, and okay, we know that there are peach, because of course there are peach markings on Rave's dick now, but are there also purple
green ones or purple ones?
We do get at the very end, he says that there's lavender and I think a darker green.
Oh.
But I'm just like, it could be an interesting concept, but it's really not mentioned through most of the book.
At the end, he has a pastel rainbow dick, guys.
Yeah.
And for what?
I don't know. I don't know.
Can we pierce it? Because Vex at least has piercings.
That's true. Vex has piercings, and I was here for that.
Yep.
Although apparently across realms, both ladies got their nips pierced.
Right? Yeah.
And I was like, what are the statistical odds of that? Can't be high. I'm not saying that it didn't happen. Well, I'm saying it's a little suspicious.
I just
Ugh.
damn.
This book really needed a lot of editing. It needed editing, copy editing, like we talked about, line editing, just because some lines didn't make a lick of sense. Some characters and scenes got dropped. It also needed like editing as in you need to take out some of these ideas. This is too many ideas. You need to take some out so you can just really focus on a few.
Well, also just the structure of the writing, it reminds me a lot of like Wattpad or AO3.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
and in that like paragraphs were not formed correct.
Yeah.
That may have been why I switched to the audiobook, because I couldn't even like two chapters in. I was like, I can't do this.
It also had, and I want to know your guys' opinion on this, it also had songs for every
I
chapter.
hate it. That's very, very 2000s like fan fiction.
Right? I remember going on Quizilla and stuff like that, and we would get songs for our chapters.
Yes.
And like, I don't hate it. Like, conceptually, I don't hate it, but it's entirely unnecessary in a book like this. Like, if you're writing a book where one or both of the characters are musicians and everything is focused around that plot, I can totally understand having songs. And some of the books that we do really love, like the Ruinous Love series by Brynne Weaver, she does create playlists, but they're not in the book. It's like an extra feature that she has on the side.
Yes.
Like, this is my inspo playlist for this book. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool.
I also don't like it because in this structure, because it sort of implies that in order for you to get the feeling of the moment, you're supposed to listen to the song. And I don't think relying on somebody else's art to carry yours is a good method
Right.
of communicating.
Yeah.
I also, like, I didn't actually listen to any of the music, but I
I
did
didn't either.
recognize, you know, like Miley Cyrus, Selena Gomez, Ariana Grande. And I just imagine listening to some of those songs and being like, that's a different vibe.
Mm-hmm.
Even though this was fantasy and we were in the modern era because they had phones, but they didn't have phones in Solera. And I'm just like, what is happening in this world?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When Rave gets to Vex, the sex club, not the person.
Yeah.
Workers there, I don't really know what their position was.
I feel like they were workers.
I think they were workers, but the way that they approach him is they say, and I quote, "Do you like to fuck?" And I was like,
Well, you're in a sex club, so the chances are high.
I feel like statistically that question gets answered yes every time.
right.
I also like that it's an invite-only sex club, and it's supposed to be very exclusive, and a random person walks in, and the worker is just like, he's hot.
I vouch for him.
I
It's
vouch
fine.
for him because he's hot. What?
What?
And there's
What
no
is this?
punishment for that person who vouched, and now Vex's mate has been kidnapped by this person. What?
Right.
So bringing it back around, here we are. Time was had, the time was spent, and it's ratings time.
What's your spice rating?
I mean, I have to give it like a 3. There was copious amounts of sex. It was fairly boring and not all that well written, quite honestly.
No.
I
just have to give it that. I give it that high only because of the amount.
right. It was there.
It was there.
It was there.
The quantity. I'll echo a 3 because the quantity.
Yeah. I'll do that too. So the saddest
Gavel,
gavel to be had. What's your romance rating?
0.
No,
Yeah, there's no romance in this.
No.
I'll throw one. I'll throw one out there.
Ooh.
They tried to give us a romance, I think.
I can maybe go 0.5 because like
I'll do 0.5.
I was there for like Vex and Dulce's relationship at the beginning at least, because like they'd at least spent the time.
Yeah.
I'll do the 0.5, but I give it no more than that.
Yeah.
All right. You talked me to a 0.5. So
Gavel. It's taking the fun out of our gavel. Overall,
I gave it a 1.
I also gave it a 1.
I gave it a 2 originally on Goodreads, but I think that was because I was just so confused. that I got like just hypnotized with confusion. But it's a 1. It
Yeah.
like almost every step of the book has problems.
Like, again, don't want to shit on an author like this, but we did. So if you don't like negative reviews, this is just how it is sometimes. And the thing is, I feel like if you don't give honest reviews, then you just lead to things like this, where we all were duped into reading a book that clearly wasn't
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like if you don't give honest reviews, then that means that your 4 and 5 star 5-star reviews are also not trustworthy.
Yes,
Yeah.
they're very questionable.
So if you know that we're out here handing out 1s and 2s when it's deserved, then when we give you that 4 and 5, like, check
We
it
mean
out.
We
Well,
mean it.
and at the end of the day, read what you want to read.
Yeah.
Also
we
that.
are just 3 people giving our personal opinions.
And if you're listening to us, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And here's the thing. I know I have read books that to me are like a 4 and 5 star that other people would read and be like, really? Really?
Oh, and just between the 3 of us, there's been books
Yeah.
where we've really liked.
Yeah, where we've had varying degrees of no, I didn't like that, or like I loved it. Did we read the same book?
I do think that's lessened as we've become like hive mind, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I've also read books that I give like 2 and 2.5 stars, and I binge that series anyway. I'm like, yes, this is bad, but fuck, I gotta read it.
It's
Well,
true.
I think we've just also understood what the other people are going to
Yeah.
not like, because I've flat out said that, like, a book that I read that I've been really enjoying, Liz might like, Wiggles would fucking hate it.
Wiggles usually is the one.
I
Yeah.
am the hypercritical one. I own this. I'm sorry.
It's not that you're hypo. We just have different tastes.
But I was also completely wrong about Lights Out. I thought for sure that Danny would love it, and Wiggles would be like, okay,
And
whatever.
Wiggles is like, yes.
Yes.
So,
Liz, we've corrupted her in our direction.
good.
You two need to lock it up.
Well,
Never.
it is time for recommendations. So take your best shot.
I'm giving you what this wanted to be.
Yes,
Mhm.
please.
I would love that.
Yes, please.
So what it kind of promised was like cozy gender queer relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm going to go with the second book in the Leviathan Fitness series.
Yes.
Tentacles and Triathlons.
Who's that by again?
It is by Ashley Bennett.
That's right.
It is a monster romance, but it is a cozy monster romance. He's training one character, a human character, is training for a triathlete or a triathlon, and he's bad at the swimming portion, so he asks assistance from a lovely Kraken
Ooh.
character, and he's so sexy. And yeah, there's tentacles, and there's I believe there is a novella coming out that is like a I got him pregnant situation between the two of those.
Oh.
Wait, how
I think the
Kraken gets pregnant?
mhm.
Okay, because I was like, a human man cannot get
No, he
pregnant.
can't get him pregnant, but
Like, I know the anatomy of that.
but yeah,
Unless
so
Kraken has magical powers to then be like, now
Now
the
you
body
have a
is
uterus.
forever changed. Yeah.
I really enjoy it. I honestly love that entire series so far.
Yeah, I got to get into that because you've been really hyping it. And the first one was nice. It was cozy. It was enjoyable.
It was cute.
The
Yeah.
next one doesn't come out until September.
Oh,
2025 is going to be the year of like all the books.
I have so many books in 2025 that I'm
Fuck.
like just waiting for.
It's Griffins and Gaines.
Ooh.
Griffins.
Wait, is that the bird guy?
Uh-huh.
That's the chicken, whatever he called him, a chicken.
Yes, I still thought he was actually a chicken. And I was like, what in the fuck is happening right now?
And I really liked the third one. It's Mantras and Minotaurs.
I did not know that it was a mature romance until you told us, and I was like, what a delight.
I did not until I started reading it, because I assumed it was going to be about the Minotaur that works at Leviathan Fitness, but it's actually about her father.
Yeah. And there are not enough mature romances out there.
No,
what
and
a
it-
delight.
It was hot as hell.
Whoever
There
wants
is-
to corner that market of like over 30 romance, there's a market for it. Millennials aren't marrying men. We want to read
Yes.
it.
I think you need to go even older. Like,
They were in their 50s.
yeah, I was going to say like
Yeah,
40s,
love it.
50s. Because,
Yes.
we are going to be getting there soon.
Yeah, you better corner that market. We don't need any more about 19, 20-year-olds.
Nay.
Yeah.
Like literally everything for them is life or death, and it's annoying. Let's talk to an adult, please.
Yeah.
Where things are still life and death, but we're just chill about it.
Yeah. We're like, yeah, the world's on fire. I fucking noticed.
It's been on fire. This is like the 5th time in the last 10 years it's been on fire.
That's true.
Like,
But like, I'm really craving some fucking ice cream, so I'm gonna go get it.
at this point, like, you just gotta find your own little bliss. And right now, for me, that's Dairy Queen. So off we go.
Yeah.
So Wiggles, what is your recommendations?
Okay, so I think one of the things we all were missing out on in this book was the BDSM.
Yeah.
And a book that we have done recently that I think very successfully did this, we didn't love everything about the book, but we did love the BDSM, was Her Soul to Take.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't either.
We had like a piercing scene that was really nice, and there were some other dominant things. There were some other things that we were like, eh. But if you're like, I just want to read some sexy dom sub energy,
And where they actually do have conversations.
and
Yes.
they do talk about consent.
Because I praised the shit out of those conversations.
Yes. And they have conversations about word choice. They have conversations about we can stop when we can't, like how do we handle the situation? And it's a demon.
Yeah.
You know, a demon has more manners. And so check that out. And so that is Her Soul to Take by Harley LaRoe.
Who is also a queer author.
Yes. So there you go.
What about you, Liz?
So I am also going down the path of like, did you want more sex?
I took the cozy portion.
Yes, thank
I'm
you.
in my cozy era for whatever reason.
And so I'm going to suggest, because we also did a book in this series, the Villainous Things series by C. Rochelle, and we did Not All Himbos Wear Capes.
Yeah.
But the one of the later books in the series, the fourth book, Enter the Multiverse, is a multiple, and it's very like, if you want the kink and you want the BDSM and you want it all the time and you also want murder hobos, there you go.
Love it. Murder hobo sexy time.
Yeah.
And my obligatory butch.
Butch.
Sorry. I had to do it.
Yeah. So
I
it also
recommend
has,
the audiobook for the first book.
for sure.
Yeah.
I will say I've listened to all of them except for the very last one, because I think that was just like a collection of novellas for all, like, we're wrapping up everybody's story. Nothing has topped the first one yet, which is a bummer. But the fourth one has 3 people. It's the 2 brothers and their Inventus, which kind of wigs me out a little bit sometimes. I mean, the brothers don't get together, but you know,
Yeah.
everybody is in the room.
I've
So-
read enough of words. It's people, brothers sharing that doesn't bother me anymore.
Well,
It's really sad. I don't,
Okay.
it doesn't even bat an eye. 10 men.
yeah. Well, yeah.
10 men.
All 10 of them.
You know what, Danny? I honestly feel like we do need to read that book.
I do as well.
just so we can get on your level.
Just as like a little special, like, and this is the day where Danny really corrupted Liz and Wiggles.
Where we just went, my God.
The entire like, Danny, no.
Just every page, Danny.
I'm just constantly getting texts of my name. Danny.
I'd pull a Wiggles and actually mark in the Kindle version every time I just think Danny.
I just do this.
So at the end I could be like, I thought your name 60 times.
This many times, Danny. This many.
Did I go, God damn it.
Goddamn Danny.
Okay. Well, anyway. I feel like I would be remiss, just because you guys didn't do it, to do one final recommendation, and that is the Lillian Lark books, because I feel
Yes.
like
Oh, yes.
if you really want a monster romance with multiples and way better representation of kink, you got to check those out.
Yeah.
Yes. I think part of the reason we didn't think about it is because we just recently
Yeah.
did a Lillian Lark book, which was Married to the Devil, that we all liked quite a bit.
Oh, it was so
It
good.
was so good.
And that one definitely has the like dom sub situation.
Yes.
Well, folks, that brings us to the end of the episode. If you like this episode, you can find us out there on the socials at Wrong Dust Check. It's on TikTok and Instagram, but kind of really wherever you want to go. And then you can go to our website, wrongdustjackets.com, where you find a list of episodes that we've done, ones that we have coming up, and our blog posts. You might find something there. And yeah, we would like it so much if you left us a like, 5 stars, rate, review, whatever is available to you on your podcast listening app. It helps us in the algorithms, and we want to hear from you. So that's all I got. Bye, y'all.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I forgot my line
line.
again.